So let's start right off. Thank you again for joining our today's webinar. And here's what we are going to talk about. So we basically asked you upfront, maybe you remember when you were joining the webinar, we asked you a couple of questions, what you would be most interested in. We took that data and basically built our presentation around that. So today we will deal with the most popular challenges that you are currently facing. We'll show you what the best solution in our point of view would be to those challenges. We'll, due to time constraints, only be able to deal with 2 of your challenges, but in case there are any other additional questions, you will be able to see my email address in the end of the presentation, and then you can just shoot me an email, and I would be more than loving to help with any additional problems, issues, and questions. We will take half of the session for your challenges and half of the session, so another quarter of an hour, for additional Q&A. So here's the survey results. What are your biggest challenges right now that you answered up front? The 2 biggest sessions that we saw you were having was the first one, a very obvious one, a problem many people have, increasing income from your property. And the second one was how to reduce manual tasks and saving time. And we'll be talking about the 2 things that we see most common why people waste just a lot of time while doing so. Those will be the 2 things that we will be focusing on. So the first one, how can you increase your property's income? And one thing that we see very often is just a couple of misconceptions that many people believe. And the very first one is that you have to be on all the OTAs, all the platforms that there exist, the more the merrier, and the more bookings that you will get. And this is actually just not true. Why is it not true? Let me show you statistics about it, which is relevant for all of Europe. For some markets, for instance, France, it is a little different, but usually it's generally true for all of Europe, which is 90% of bookings for vacation rental homes come from 2 platforms, which is booking.com and Airbnb. The third most popular channel where people book is already your private booking website. And then there's a couple of others, which usually serve a very, very closely defined niche. I'm not saying that I'm not working. I'm just saying you need to be very specific, and it's very niche platforms. So usually already being present on booking.com, Airbnb, and having your own website will be the best guess to start off in the vacation rental game, with booking.com taking the largest part and Airbnb taking the smaller part, which probably, if you have ever talked to, or if you are already a successful host, you will probably also notice that booking.com is the channel that generates the most bookings. Second thing that we very often see is that people don't do or don't build, and they don't take the time to build a own website, and don't start early with customer relationship management. What do I mean by customer relationship management? It is building a long-term relation with your customers that in best case frequently come back. It is statistically much, much more probable that a customer who has booked via your website will return rather than a customer who booked via one of the major platforms, which is why you, of course, always want people to return. A returning customer is the cheapest customer. You don't pay commission for them, and they have this already very authentic feeling of being your guest rather than anonymously booking via one of those platforms. And I want to show you a very quick and easy hack that you can use in case, and I assume that you all, of course, do that. Something that I want to show you is that if you click here on, let me switch to English for you guys, that if you click here on experience and then context, you will be able, don't worry, it's not always as messy as mine because this is my personal demo account, which I show to a lot of people. You will see the emails here, and you will be able to export those emails via Excel, and I recommend doing it via Excel. So you will be able to export a neat export of all your existing customers who have left an email. And of course, for data protection reasons, you should ask people when booking your vacations that you can use them to send the marketing material. But let's assume that you have done that. So what you can then basically do is you export all those emails in your Excel, you copy them, and then you go to your favorite email tool. Let's say you use Gmail. And you will then basically say, okay, I sent this email to myself. In this case, it's Jonas at smoobu.com. And you add all those people, all those emails in the BCC so that they can see them respectively. This basically works like a very, very easy way to send newsletters already. Fill in the subject, fill in your message. Hey guys, we unlocked our new availabilities for next year. Here's an extra discount code that you can generate in our booking engine. Let me show you in a second how that works. And then you can continue sending that email. All right, let's continue with our quick presentation. The third point that, of course, makes a lot of sense is because people are very often somewhat afraid of actually defining a pricing strategy and don't know how to start and how to set prices. And a very, very good way on how to do that and how to actually make 20% more revenue in average is to use a dynamic pricing tool that adjusts your rates automatically based on a lot of data that we gather, which basically can be compared to the basic data that we gather, that we compare or that we take from a lot of different sources, where we compare your property to similar properties with similar amenities, and then compare prices based on seasonality, based on local events, to see where then prices can be adjusted to increase your occupancy and actually increase your revenue based on a minimum and a maximum price that you define. You can either use our Smoobu dynamic pricing widget, or you can also integrate a external partner like Price Labs. Our second issue that we were talking about, which is reducing manual tasks. The very first one that I see over and over again, you won't believe it, is that you update your calendars manually, which means you get a booking from Airbnb or maybe a booking via telephone, and then you have to manually block your Airbnb and booking. The great news is, with a channel manager like Smoobu, you will already have noticed that is a thing of the past, because all bookings, of course, will automatically be blocked. So you don't need to worry about that anymore after you connected all your platforms. The second one I also see very, very often, which is manually dealing with direct bookings that you, for instance, receive via your website. What we see very, very often is that people actually receive an email, which then of a guest who then asks, hey, is your vacation rental available between those dates? And then you as a host, you have to answer, hey, yeah, it is available or it is not available. Then they either goes to you directly because they wanted to know, they weren't able to provide them with the information whether the vacation rental is available or not fast enough. Or maybe they have another request. We forgot to add that we want to bring a dog. So could you please send us another offer? So there is usually up to five email touch points before a booking actually happens. And you can reduce that drastically by just implementing, and let me show you real quick how that would look like, our booking engine on your website, or building a direct booking experience with our Smoobu website builder. Let me very quickly show you how that would work and how that would look like on a customer website. I'm just showing you, sorry for being German, for the website being German, but it's not really important. You just see the structure. So this is actually a website a partner or a customer of ours is actually using. And you can basically implement two things on your website using Smoobu, which first is this availability calendar, where people can directly see whether whether the time slot they want to book for is available. And the second thing is this booking engine over here, which always adapts to the language of the user. So my browser is set in English. It will show in English, which is a great advantage. And then you can already see that all the black slots are actually available. And then in case you have multiple properties, you can already see which of all those properties are available. So if one property is booked out, you can still select the other one. And then, as with any good hotel, you just fill out all your data over here. You can use any payment method that comes to your mind. I think those guys over here, they only use invoice, basically bank transfer, but you can also add PayPal, you can add a credit card. And now this is actually quite where the magic happens, because can people actually accept your terms and conditions and your privacy policy. and any other things. So no need to send back and forth any contracts, no need to send back and forth any other text messages usually, because now when people book, you can then actually use our very custom email automation feature over at Smoobu to then basically even automate any follow-up messages. In case you're more interested in that, please feel free to reach out via email and I'll be more than happy to show you how that would work. As we are on a little time constraint, I will stop sharing now and take a look into the chat. And I would love to answer your questions right now. But we received some questions up front, so I will be more than happy to answer them. And in case you have any questions on your mind, please feel free to ask them in the chat and we will still take some time to answer them. So the very first question that we got was how manage the prices for big group. I am unfortunately not 100% sure what is meant by big group. So I will unfortunately have to skip that question. But once again, if it was you who asked that question, please feel free to reach out to me afterwards and take a look at it individually. Let's see more info about websites, about website creation and releasing. We have a custom made website builder over at Smoobu, which you can access via the Smoobu dashboard. It is very templated already, which means that it already offers a structure that makes a lot of sense for vacation rental websites. You can actually usually already leave it very much as it is and just adjust the colors and adjust the color palette and maybe adjust the text, and it should already work for you. The good thing about the website builder is that it is already search engine optimized, which then means is that it's really on a technical basis. So it's very much depending on what you add from a text perspective. In case you want me to check out the website that you have already built, once again, please feel free to reach out and we can take a look at it. Also, my colleagues from support, if you probably already have noticed, you can actually, let me show you real quick. You can, of course, always click down here on help, then schedule a call, and you will always be able to book a time slot with us, with my colleagues from support, who will then actually take half an hour to also consider your individual issues with your website. We have very skilled colleagues with our website builder, so they would be super happy to actually help you with that. Then let's take another look at the next question. If you want to import your personal website, how to do that? You don't technically have to. So the question is basically, can you import your personal website to the Smoobu website builder? This is at least how I understand it. You definitely don't have to do that, but you can actually, if you can import your website, you don't technically have to, but you can just very easily actually copy our booking engine that I have just showed you on your already existing website. So there's two ways. You can either the code snippet that you can see if you click on booking engine and then booking engine options, or embed the booking engine in your website. You can actually copy that snippet onto your website. It's fairly easy and it's very easy usable with all major website builders like Squarespace, Wix, and so on and so forth. Or the other option is to basically show the preview of your booking engine in your browser, copy the link, and then just add the link to any button you have on your website. For instance, a big fat book now button. That one you can also add to your website fairly easily. The last question is, what is average revenue increased by Smoobu pricing tool? I suppose that is referring to the Smoobu dynamic pricing module. A average user with us who implements the dynamic pricing module, as I mentioned previously, can or will have 20% more revenue, because the Smoobu dynamic pricing module actually optimizes both for occupancy and revenue, and usually it's 20% on average that we see. Just checking if we have any additional questions. I don't see any. Okay, now I get a message here. It's in German. I will quickly translate it. If we can bring option that you can add dogs or animals in general in the booking engine, or put it in the booking engine. And currently there is only the possibility to add notes to direct bookings. All right. So let me show you real quick because we still have a couple of minutes. So you can technically add a doc. I understand it like that you wanted to enter them in the booking engine, or which is basically either displayed on your website or in this Smoobu website builder. Let me show you how you could technically implement that. For instance, an animal. So you can basically click on experience, on configuration, then on booking engine. In German, it's Buchungssystem. And then technically you can add additional items over here. Let me maybe choose an apartment where not everything is so crowded. All right. So technically you can then add additional items down here, where you can then, for instance, say it's a dog or a pet. You can say usually it's around 15 to 25 euros. You will add 7% tax over here. And then you can say maybe only we want one dog per booking. So, or maybe two maximum. And then you can define that you only want to show it in the booking system and not also in the guest guide. That's a little hidden down here. And if I save that, you basically in the booking engine have the option. Let me just show you quick how that would look like in my personal booking engine over here. We have our apartment 4 down here. And now down here, down here you have the optional extras, dog, 24 euros per booking, and I can add up to 2 dogs. That's currently how you could implement also the option to add dogs to the booking. I hope I understood that the right way. And then the question with respect to newsletter, thank you so much. You would technically have to implement some kind of a privacy policy on your booking engine. As you will probably have noticed down here, you can actually link your privacy policy here. And then you would have to explain that you also accept being sent regular newsletters, and that if they wanted to opt out, they would have to send you an email. That's the easiest way. I just wanted to show you a quick hack on how you could do it. In case you want more professional newsletter options, I would strongly suggest you use an additional CRM system such as HubSpot or Pipedrive. Please feel free to reach out if you want a recommendation, because that would make certain aspects of maintaining better customer relationship management much easier. I thank you very, very much for spending your lunch break with me, and wish you a great remaining Tuesday. Thank you so much for taking part in this webinar. Have a good day. Bye-bye, everybody.